So delighted to be joined in the Star Sport podcast by Ballinascarthy's lethal forward, Brian O'Donovan, to discuss their match against St James's in the Carbery Junior A Hurling Championship semi-final this weekend in a skiing. Should be a very entertaining game as well. Obviously, Ball are going well in both codes at the moment in football and hurling, one of a few clubs that can still do the Junior A double, which is great from a Ball point of view. First of all, Brian, how are things with yourself? Ball are on a high at the moment and going to a semi-final this weekend against James's.
You always want to get to the end of the competition anyway. So getting to the semi final against James will be tough the weekend, but looking forward to it. Yeah, everyone is in good spirits and everything, so we're looking forward to the game at the weekend.
Is there much pressure going to the game against James, considering James obviously knocked out one of the favourites of the competition in Kilty, the holders from last year? Obviously, it's going to be a difficult game for you at the weekend.
Yeah, sure. I suppose when you're going into a semi final, there's always pressure to try get into the final. But no, to be fair, we've kind of focused on playing our own game now at the weekend and see how we get on. But there's not huge pressure or anything like that. We've been doing well all year, so it's kind of just to keep that going really more than anything.
I suppose at the group stage last year, I can remember a game in Dunmanway where James is pushed very close in the game,
Yeah,
indeed, and they seem to be improving as a hurling team year on year. So that has to be taken into consideration, I'd imagine, in the group as well.
yeah, definitely. No, geez, we had a very tough game against Ardfield last year. You know, we were lucky enough to get through it. I think we were pretty close all the way until Sean Ryan got a goal, and that kind of gave us a little bit of breathing space. But like, I know we'll be expecting a very tough game at the weekend. Ardfield always bring a lot of intensity and physicality and stuff. So, yeah, we'll be looking forward to the game. And yeah, definitely. I suppose we've played Ardfield a few times now since I've started playing junior. So we're well used to each other, I suppose.
And even Clon getting knocked out in the quarterfinals. I know it's kind of a cliche for many sides just to concentrate on the job in hand as the games come and all that. But once Clon did go out in the quarterfinal, were you thinking like this is a brilliant chance for Ballinascarthy to go on and win a Turf 39 in 4 years?
Um, I don't know that it changed the probabilities or anything like that. Like Ardfield will still be very tough, and they're they obviously played very well to beat Clon the last day. I know for us, you probably always want to play the team that knocked you out the year beforehand, but no, look, it'll be fair play to Ardfield really for beating Clon because no matter who Clon have playing 1 to 15, they're always going to be very strong, fit. So yeah, look, it didn't bother us too much, but I suppose a little bit of you is always hoping that you'll come up against a team that knock you out. So, but look, it doesn't matter too much to us. We'll drive on with playing Ardfield at the weekend.
Does being one of the favourites for the competition play in the heads of the players even before the season starts? Because Bal have won three, as we mentioned at the start of the show, there two out of the last three Flyer Nines in the Carbery Junior A Hurling Championship. So does that kind of play a role in how the team performs in a way, or expecting good things in a way, or what do you think about that kind of element?
Um, no, look, to be fair, the managers we have in charge of us this year, Jace Fergal, Philip, Kieran, they're not really putting any pressure on us this year. I suppose a few of the games in the group stage, you probably have your own pressure putting yourself because you want to get into the business end of stuff. But there's not so much pressure, for a long time we weren't that successful. So the last few years have been great that we've been able to get to finals, get to semi-finals, get to a few county stages. So, no, look, I suppose everyone puts their own bit of personal pressure on themselves to perform and stuff. But as a group, we're pretty relaxed about the whole thing. There's not a whole lot of pressure being put on us at the moment.
I suppose the quarter final against Randall, you were level at half time in that game. Randall's really put it up to you, but you pushed on in the second half and produced a brilliant performance in that one. You yourself got 3 goals and a point according to a match report recently as well. So like that was a good performance to get under our belts as well. And Randall, a tough opposition to face in the quarters, I'd imagine, before the big semi final.
Yeah, definitely no. Do you know what we kind of knew Randalls would come with a lot of intensity. That they'd be really up for the game. And to be fair to them, like we were nearly hanging on to them in the first half. They were playing some super stuff. And I suppose we kind of regrouped at halftime, changed the tactics a little bit more. We kind of hitting the ball a little bit closer in and stuff like that. So that probably helped. But no, geez, definitely. a good game for us to get in the quarterfinals to get us a little bit sharper for the semi-finals. But no, fair play to Randalls. They were super, yeah. Especially in that first half, yeah, we were lucky to be hanging in there.
I suppose that does that show the quality in the Carbery Championship at the same time as well. We mentioned Clon, we mentioned James as Randall's produced a good performance against G as well. There are other good teams up and down the division as well. I'm sure Lukestown's B team and
Hmm.
Dermot Mahone is in the other semi-final. So does that show the quality, I suppose, in opposition in the Carbery Championship as well?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like yeah, you've mentioned Randalls there. To be fair, a good few of the Randalls guys played in the Carbery team this year, and they're all quite good. It's the same with most clubs. Like it's a it can be up and down, but most of the teams in Carbery will always give you a pretty tough game. Like we played Dunmanway a few years ago, and there was nothing in it. It was penalties. And that was nearly our best year. After it all, we got to a county semi final, I think. So to be fair, between like Clon, Dunmanway, Mahoonies, Newstown, Randalls, there's very little between us. Ardfield, there's there's not a whole pile between us, and to be fair, every game you go out is tough no matter who you play.
Definitely is. And I suppose it was it a bit disappointed to see in a way in the county championships, for example, moving away from that in the county championships that the five clubs involved, there was a very bad record there. There was Aberdeen involved in a relegation playoff. Bandon were very near it as well. Barry Rowan, Kilbrittain didn't progress out of the group, neither did Newstown were a Premier Senior, so that's a tough grade to pass in any case. But was that kind of disappointing from a Carbery hurlers point of view that they didn't do as well as maybe anticipated before the season?
No, I don't think so. I think all of the grades that the teams are in are going to be tough to get through. Like to be fair, Cork is a really every grade is really tough to come through. And like most of the teams last year, like maybe a little bit of a dip this year, but Barry Road did really well last year in the hurling, and Kilbrittain have a history of doing really well. Same with Timoleague and Newstown going up last year. Like so, uh, I wouldn't say it was a disappointment for the Carbery side of things or anything like that. All of those teams are in those grades on merit, like so. Um, just gives them a bit more motivation to push on for next year, I suppose.
And sure, even look at yourselves again, like even winning the league back earlier on the year, winning the Division 7 of the league, beating Kinsale in that final earlier on the season. Did that give the group a bit of belief that they could compete in county series, for example, if you get out of Carbery, of course?
Yeah, I suppose it would. It's the enjoyable thing about playing in the Division 6 and or Division 7 this year and Division 6 next year. You're playing some different teams, teams you would never play beforehand, and you get a little bit of a change up. So yeah, we were pretty happy with how the league went this year. We had like there's very little between all those teams in the leagues. Like we got through a few games by a point. I think we lost two by maybe 1 or 2 points as well. So there's very little between all the teams. Like I think on the final weekend there could have been four teams were all in contention for going up and playing in the final. Like so, to come out of that, yeah, it probably gives you a little bit of confidence uh, that you've had a good league before you start your championship. Um, so I suppose yeah, it gives you a little bit of confidence going forward that you can play these bigger teams and you can do well. And we'll be looking forward now to Division 6 to see how we get on. Um, yeah, and we'll be playing a few of the teams locally as well as teams from up to county. So it'd be nice to challenge there and see how we go.
It's a nice challenge, all right, just to see your kind of stance against some bigger opposition around Cork as well. And Division 6 is no mean feat of a division as well. So definitely a challenge that you look forward to next season, obviously after you completed this year.
Yeah, yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, look, it's something new. It's something new. It's nice to play some games up in the city, to go a little bit further than that. You're always challenging yourself a little bit when you progress on. And it was nice to get a bit of silverware at the start of the year after having maybe a little bit of a disappointing year last year. So that was a nice way to start off before we get into our championship.
I suppose, like, what does the hurling team mean to the locality of Ballinascarthy in a way? Because they've been very, very successful over the last few seasons. 2 out of 3 Flyer Nines, as I mentioned. They could actually win another Flyer Nine this year, all going well, of course, for yourselves. Like, it's a brilliant time to be a Ballinascarthy hurler at this present moment in time.
Yeah, it's a good time to be involved now. To be fair, I think we were lucky. Um, Around my age, we had a lot of guys coming through, who make the kind of bulk of the team now. So we're lucky in that sense. No, to be fair, the team is very important to the people living around there. You can kind of see it by all the guys who are helping out with the pit, who are with us every training, every match. Like they're brilliant, for carrying water, hurleys. They're super. And it does mean a lot. It's small things, but it means a lot at the end of the day. But yeah, it gives a good bit of joy to the people living in Ballinascarthy. Right, I think half the time it's probably they get a bit more enjoyment than us playing in it, but it's good to see for the locality.
Definitely is. And just a final question before we end the chat here. Like the main probably story of the weekend, last weekend, obviously, was the cancellation of games on Sunday. Obviously, Clonakilty Nemo was up there. You Carbery Rangers are up, plus your own game as well. The football junior A side of things, Ballinascarthy and St Mary's was off because of the orange weather warning as well. What kind of an effect does that have on players as a matter of interest? Because, like, from the outside, it seemed like a bit of a headache for the county board in trying to organise fixtures and the Carbery board themselves as well. But what's it like from a player's point of view in knowing that you're going sight into a game on the night before, but then it's cancelled? What's kind of the feeling amongst the camp when things like that happen?
Do you know what? Like personally, it was a bit. It kind of changes your calendar going forward for the next few weeks, but look, it's not a major thing. To be honest, I didn't mind too much. We've been playing a lot of games every weekend, so to get a weekend off is good. It gives us a little bit more rest before we go into play this weekend. But yeah, I see your point. Probably the night beforehand. To be fair, our managers were quite good. They kind of let us know early on the Saturday that more than likely, if this weather warning doesn't change, that match probably won't be on. So I think half of us had a fair idea that it wouldn't be going ahead, and we were all kind of waiting for the announcement at around 7 o'clock. So no, to be fair, like it hasn't really changed too much for us. It's weekend off. Can get an extra hurling session in, so um, it's probably a bit of a headache, all right, for people organising the fixtures. But as a player, look, when the matches are on, the matches are on, so it doesn't push us either way too much.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky situation and definitely one that many people have different opinions on, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks for your time, Brian, and joining the Star Sport podcast today. And best of luck for Ballinascarthy against St. James at the weekend.
No worries. Thanks, Matt.